views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Are you ready to dream on? Do you know how to fly high and soar among the clouds? Get ready to live adventurously because the Laura Meeks Show starts now. Listen as Laura lifts you off the ground while teaching you how to fly high. Forget ground-level drama and be prepared to confront your dreams head-on as she encourages you to navigate towards your North Star and into what just might be the best life you've imagined. Dream on. Live adventurously on The Laura Meeks Show.
Hey, welcome everybody. Happy holidays to everyone. This is Laura Meeks. I'm on The Laura Meeks Show, and I welcome you to the show. Today I've got a lot packed in, so I'm going to start with this. Should life be fair? Is there a path to life that has no stress, no challenge, no pain? And if we follow these magic rules, do we somehow create a fairy tale life? And if so, which rules do we follow? Well, one of the things I've found is I've lived my life and I've learned often that challenges in life, those are the things that we need to grow. We need challenges. And today my focus is on the attitude that we need. I've titled this show, Attitude Creates Altitude. So I'm going to turn this into a flying allegory. My allegory today is to talk about flying into a box canyon. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine flying a little airplane out in the west. We're flying along this beautiful grassy valley. On the left-hand and the right-hand side, we have trees and mountains, and we're just floating along in between. And we're following this valley as it's winding down and around. And then we take a turn, we go around the corner, and all of a sudden, we see that there is a wall in front of us. Now we're in a challenge. We call this challenge the box canyon because it's too tight to turn around, and now we have a wall in front of us. And so what we need to do is get over that wall and not die. And the only way to get out of a box canyon is to fly up and over that wall. We don't want to hit that wall. Now, in common parlance, we call this getting stuck between the rock and the hard place. If you're a Star Trek fan, which I am, I call this the Kobayashi Maru, which is the no-win situation. And often life presents us with these challenges. So today I want to share with you that the way out of the box canyon is the attitude that you're going to take. We want a good attitude so that we can climb up and get the altitude we need. Attitude creates altitude. We need to get over that. Now, to illustrate this, I have a story to tell you today. So our story is about a young man and his love of flying. He was born in middle-class America on 8 acres in a suburb of Minneapolis, I believe. He had a loving family. He was sent to an elite private high school, because they knew that in common language, education was the key to success, the key to this American dream. So while this young man is in high school, he fell in love with airplanes. He was building models, and that turned into flying models and remote control models. And he decided that when he grew up, when he grew up, he was going to earn his living as at flying airplanes, And this was his vision, and he flamed this into a passion. So in high school, one of the things that he did is he mowed grass during the summer so that he could get money. And he knew that the first rung of success for him was to get his private pilot's license. So on the summer before college, he frantically mowed lawns, earning a few dollars. And it turns out that was not enough for him to get his license. So he talked, I guess, to his mother, and she co-signed a loan. And that loan was enough to allow him to take lessons and get his private license. So the week before he went to college, lo and behold, he had taken all the lessons, taken his check right in. Hooray, he gets his license. So he's up on that first rung in his vision. Now, flying airplanes is a very expensive thing. And one of the things that this guy knew was getting all the money together to earn all the licenses you need to fly for the airlines. That was probably going to be past his financial means. And he realized that what he needed to do to follow his vision, to follow his passion, was he needed a way to learn how to fly where he didn't have to pay for it. And he realized that one of the ways in America that you can do that is you can join the military. And so when he went to college, he registered for classes. And then while he was there, he also joined Reserve Officers Training Corps, ROTC, which is a way that you can join the military, go to college, and then when you graduate, then you can go to flight school. So he thought, well, hey, that's the way that I'm going to do that. Now, it turns out that one of the interesting things is that the Vietnam War had just ended, and the Air Force was filled with pilots coming back from the war, and they really no longer needed pilots. So his commander at school said, hey, what you need to do is you need a scholarship. Now it's really competitive. You have to get a scholarship. If you can't get a scholarship, then you're not going to be a pilot. Well, that's a roadblock, kind of a small box canyon that he's in. So it turns out he takes the test and he gets a phone call. Says, hey, good news, you got a scholarship. So he rushes over, talks to the commander, and this commander says, well, it's kind of one of these good news, bad news stories. The good news is you got a scholarship, but it's not a pilot scholarship. It was a scholarship to become a navigator. Well, this poor guy's heart just sank because all this time and effort to get this far, and now the road is blocked. This is not going to get him to pilot training. So now he's in that box canyon. We're surrounded by mountains. This is a big wall. There's a big wall now in front. And so the question is, what attitude is he going to take? Now, it turns out his attitude was, if there's a will, there's a way. And he had a really burning desire to do this. So I want you to stop for a second and ask yourself, if you were faced with a situation like this, what would you do? I'm sure somewhere in your life you've tried to do something that didn't go as planned. So the question to you is that how did you handle that? What were you thinking? Because what you're thinking is going to be really important. Did you quit? Did you try harder? Did you look for another dream? Sometimes people just do that. Sometimes people just settle. They settle for it. It's like, hey, this is what God wanted me to do. I guess I'm just not supposed to be doing this. Well, I have to tell you that when you face a wall like this, it's important to then come up with an attitude, a good attitude to get over this wall. And our young man, this was a do or die. I'm going to do it whatever it takes. He's going to do that. That was his attitude. I'm going to do whatever it takes. So when he looked at all his options, he decided that in the end, he was going to accept this navigator scholarship. And it was weird because one of the things that he realized is that if he was a navigator, turns out navigators were in short supply. They had lots of pilots, but not too many navigators. And it turns out that if he were to become a navigator, he would at least be in airplanes. He'd be involved in the airplane world. And there was, it turns out, a path for navigators to go to pilot training. So there was this like little teeny long shot crack that he could follow to get to pilot training. Now, the ending of the story is it was good news, because even though it took him 6 years after graduation from college to get to pilot training, it took him 3 applications. And at the age of 26, he was accepted. 27 is a year. Took a long, hard year, but at 27, he graduated. And after 15 years of chasing this dream, he finally realized that he had made this dream. He had achieved his dream. So he was now a pilot earning money, flying airplanes. That was his vision. That's where he wanted to go. And he had realized it. Now imagine the beauty of where he was. Now he was a tall, college-educated military officer and a pilot, kind of a Air Force version of Tom Cruise. Tom was a Navy guy, if you remember. So all of the opportunities in this land of America were available to this guy. And it just seems like a great ending to the story. But as you're probably aware, not all stories end up this way. Not everything ends in a perfect way. And there are more box canyons. So I wanted to let you know how some of this went. So as he was going along, he realized as he was flying along with his other military pilots that somehow he was different. It was always in the back of his mind that he and the men that he was flying with he was somehow different. The way he was thinking and the way they were thinking, it was just different. And it turns out that at this time, the internet was just being invented. And it was in the internet, that this young man figured out why he was feeling different. Because in the internet, they had just invented this new thing called the chat room. And so at the age of 31, he was in a chat room listening to some of the conversation, and he was following these two guys that were talking about how ashamed and scared they felt. It seems that somehow, some way, and they couldn't understand it, but somehow, some way, they were feeling like they were female on the inside. And this was so crazy, so unusual. They did not know what to do. So they're talking about their feelings and what was going on. Now, I will tell you that like a lightning strike, this information hit this young man with the idea that this is exactly what he was feeling. That was the things that they were talking about, the way they were feeling, the way they were thinking. This was like they pieced two pieces together. And that was exactly how he felt. And he realized that all of a sudden there was a huge challenge with this understanding, because he knew that he was now, quote, transgender, a term he had never heard. But it was true. He was transgender. And it was like a horrible diagnosis. It was worse than cancer, because at least cancer could be explained. Now, all of a sudden, he realizes he's transgender and he has no physical proof. It's just like this mental thing. Now, you have to ask yourself, what would you do? When we come back, I want you to think about the path that you would take when you come out. How would you get over this wall? How would you get out of this canyon? With that, stand by. We'll be right back.
Living Lighter Radio with Jason and Patricia. We have an ecosystem approach to your life. Tune in weekly every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we, Jason and Patricia, discuss what's truly holding you back. We offer you the tools you need to reach your goals and at the same time be living lighter. For more information about Living Lighter, visit www.livinglighter.org.
Calling all moms, it's time to awaken your vibrant, intuitive, loving self in every area of your life. Join host Debbie Pokornik as she shares thoughts, stories, and tools to help you stand in your power. Listen to Vibrant, Powerful Moms helping everyday women create extraordinary lives. Mondays at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. For more information about Debbie, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.
Golden Otter Divinations Radio, where the metaphysical meets the mainstream with Autumn Seibel. Tune in the first Friday every month at 9 a.m. Pacific as Autumn, educator, health coach, and medium, explores metaphysical and mainstream strategies on how to elevate your level of conscious living. Draw in the abundance that is yours by divine right. For more information about working with Autumn, visit goldenotter.us. That's golden like the precious metal and otter like the precious animal.us.
Are you looking for the perfect setting for your next workshop or retreat? At Spirit Fire Meditative Retreat Center, cultivating consciousness is what we do best. Our guests count on us to create an atmosphere that supports serenity and well-being. We lead from the heart and create space for the mind. Freshly prepared meals designed with local and organic ingredients, 95 acres of beautiful woods and pastures, and a facility built with green in mind. This is what you'll find at Spirit Fire. For more information, visit spiritfireretreatcenter.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha.
My name is Susan Glavin.
My name is Momo Estake.
Hi, I'm Cornelia Stephanie, and I'm here to inspire creatively wild women to rise rooted in spiritual and material abundance.
Every woman that I've spoken to has an incredible dream of bringing even more love, beauty, and harmony to their families and to their communities.
And I'm here to start an evolutionary revolution among women.
To heal their karmic debts, to transcend the shame of poverty consciousness that women have lived with for centuries. It's time for women, for you, to have a new relationship with money, to radiate wealth from the inside out. We are creating a ripple effect, empowering millions of women to claim their inner wealth. Join Susan, Samantha, Momo, and Cornelia Fridays on the Millionaire Imprint for Women at Transformation Talk Radio.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the Laura Meeks Show. Now, before the break, I was telling you the story of this young man. He's in pursuit of this long-term vision, this long-term vision to fly airplanes. So imagine how it would feel to have climbed up this ladder of success, following your dream for almost 15 years, and then finding out that you have something that's going to knock you off the ladder. It's kind of like climbing up a mountain and finding out that when you got to the top, they were going to push you over the edge. So this young guy is in serious trouble. He knows that if he told anyone that he would lose everything that he had created for 15 years. And thinking, if you lose your job, then how are you going to, support your wife, your family, your children? As a military officer and a pilot, this would be the end of his career. He wouldn't be able to keep his top security clearance. Everything would be gone. Humiliated and lost right after the great start. But part of the other challenge is that in his heart, he knew the truth. Once those puzzle pieces went together, he realized that he was not like any other man. He was different than the people that he was working with. And now the question is what would you do? So over the break, I'm hoping you thought about what you might do. And what I want you to do is understand, listen to your thoughts. If you can, think about what you're thinking about. If this was you, would you hide? Would you ignore it? Would you seek more information? Would you try to barter it out? Or would you try to seek help? What would you do? It's important that you see this attitude and understand what you're going to do, because again, attitude creates your altitude. Now, it's interesting to me that our attitudes really are based on our history and kind of how we think that the world works. And many times it seems we do what we think is right, kind of just based on our dreams, and it's almost automatic. And so when you get into a situation where you're in this box canyon and you're trying to figure out, often we look for new information to help us figure out what's going on. And part of what I want to impart with you today is how you seek and what you seek is going to affect the path that you're on. The data that you're going to find is going to change your attitude. So in this case, you find out you're transgender. Now, would it make a difference if it was definable medical thing? And if it's not definable, does that change how the story goes? And truthfully, probably the biggest worry that anybody has when you face a challenge is not only how am I going to fix it, but what are other people going to think, especially in this case. Now, we always want to seek information so that we can figure out a path out. We want to predict the future. And one of the things that I've found is that when you're searching for information, what you're going to find is you're going to collect all the information that you find, and it's going to become your known facts. And what you're going to also find is when you're researching, you're going to find that you're seeing and researching common sense answers, things that have worked in the past. And it's very historical data. I want you to understand it's not predictive of the future. It's just what people have done. And it's not to say that that's not helpful, but it's critical that you realize that no matter what box canyon you're in, you realize that you have a choice to choose your own answer and choose your ending. That's important to this event. Now, realize this too. Research usually provides you with statistics, and try to remember that statistics apply to really large groups of people, not to the individual, and you're an individual. So back to the story. Common sense answer that this guy found is that the best thing to do, the thing that almost everybody did, was just ignore this feeling. It just makes sense. You work so hard to get where you are. Why throw it away? So the best thing is just pack it away, hide it. Good. Keep your job, keep your family. Trust me, men can't go down this road. This is not a road that this guy would want to go down. So why endure all of that trouble? But one of the things that this young guy found is that he'd already been enduring these feelings for the last 15 years. I wasn't sure what it was, but his question kind of was, well, if that's the answer, if I have to hold on to this and hold out this brick, I wonder how long I could hold on to that. Well, the ending is truthfully, I didn't know how long I could handle this pain. You see, this story that I'm telling you is my story. You may have figured that out. This is what I faced 30 years ago. I was on the top of the world. I chased my dream. I'd climbed to the top of the ladder. I was a pilot. Life was so good. And then chop, all of a sudden I find out this information that I'm transgender. And it just seemed, honestly, of all the things, it just seemed so unfair. I had worked so hard to get there. And now this is going to happen. Now, the reason that I bring this up is not just to tell you that that was part of my story, but the fact is that you and I, we all face challenges. That is life. And that's why you're listening. That's why you're here today is you got things in your life that you want to try to find some answers. And I get it. Trust me, I understand. I've been down a lot of interesting roads. But I assure you that whatever challenge that you're feeling right now, they are going to feel as challenging as this was to me after 15 years. So whatever it is that you're facing, I understand that it is important to you. It's interesting that we need challenges. I know it sounds crazy, but for us to grow, we're here on this planet as spiritual beings experiencing life, and we want to find joy and happiness. To do that, we have to have some challenges to get through to the future. And it's almost as if at this level, when you're in the box canyon, it's almost like you're facing a door, an unknown door to the future. Can I make it over the canyon? Can I go through the door? So I kind of found myself at the top of this mountain facing this door and wondering, oh my gosh, what is my future going to be? Now, here's one of the things that I learned. This is an interesting point. What I learned is this, is that if I were to go through that door, that would be my future. What I hadn't learned yet is that what is on the other side of the door is exactly what you think it's going to be. That your future is exactly what you think it's going to be. Now, the interesting thing is what are you thinking it's going to be? Are you thinking good thoughts or bad thoughts? To quote kind of a religious background, going through this door to the future, your thoughts are either going to take you down to hell or up to heaven, and it's going to be your choice. And your choice is based on your attitude. So let me finish part of this story. Here, imagine this. Here I am with this new knowledge that I'm transgender. I'm a pilot in the military, and this was long before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I was in the era of don't tell, for God's sakes, don't tell anybody. That's where I was. So here I was grasping for more information, and the good news is we had this new thing called the internet. And one of the things that I researched is what happens when you have this issue of transgender. And one of the things that I learned is that this is not something that you can really ignore. Kind of like facing a tiger, this kind of challenge, man, I like the tiger's in front of me and I'm frozen with fear. I'm dead at a dead stop and I don't want to move. I don't want to know. But one of the things I found is that you can try and put this away in a box. You can try to hide it. You can try to push it away. But what happens is that stress is internal. Your body and your mind know that it's there. And the challenge that I found through research is that people that did try to suppress this, they got depressed and often suicide. You can't hold this in forever. So what do you do? Well, first of all, let me tell you, I want to share with you some of the feelings that I was feeling. Because when you're in this box canyon, it's hard to remember what exactly is going on. And there's a lot of confusing things. The first thing I will tell you is I was drop dead scared. The tiger was in front of me and I was drop dead scared. I can fly formation in 2 jets, top of a loop, upside down, 400 knots, 10 feet from somebody. Easy. Compared to this, that was easy. And I kept asking my version of spirit or God, hey, why would you give me something where I reached this ladder and then you knock it away from me? And part of what I realized is that that's not the attitude that I wanted to take. Excuse me. I will tell you that I did realize this, that I did know the truth, that when these guys were talking and they were telling me about what they were feeling, I couldn't undo the truth. Everything that these guys were talking about was true, and I realized that I really was transgender. And now the question is how am I going to fly out of this box canyon? I will tell you another thing. This is another confusing part. Some things were really clear. It was really clear. I was about 2 years into my second marriage to a woman I absolutely dearly loved. She was my soulmate in all ways. She was a successful officer. She was funny, witty, decisive, great Air Force officer. We really enjoyed being together. And I knew for sure I was not going to give that up. I had worked hard for that as well. Another quick feeling I felt was relieved. It was kind of like finding out you have skin cancer. It's not good news, but at least the doctors know what it is and they can do something about it. So at least now I had something to grapple with. I had the term transgender was something that I could look up and probably figure out what people had done before and cure that. So I felt good about that. Another challenge was I felt embarrassed, completely embarrassed. I felt like I was the weirdest person on earth. I had no way of expressing this. I really kind of felt like, God, couldn't I just have had like a love of Dungeons and Dragons or something kind of different, not have to be this different. But again, I was somewhat hopeful. This was not totally unnew, and it looked like there might be a way out. So when you're in this box canyon and you're trying to figure out what to do, I want you to understand that box canyons are really confusing. Some parts are really murky and others are really clear. Some paths are really promising and some paths are really dark. So whenever you're standing in front of this door to your future, realize that those feelings all come with kind of where you're at. And what I want you to understand is that as you are looking at walking through this door, how you are thinking and what you're thinking is going to affect what happens on the other side of the door. Now, real quick, let me just tell you the ending of the story so you get a feeling of where I went after that. I think the story has a happy ending because by the age of 50, so almost 20 years after I found out, I fully transitioned from being Lawrence to Laura. I did stay in the Air Force. I flew a whole career in my Air Force as a pilot, and I retired in 1995. more importantly, my wife and I have continued to be happily married. We've been married 34 years now. My family embraced the new me with love, and I flew I flew out of that box canyon. It didn't kill me. Now, I went through that door, and I live to tell you how I went through it. When we come back from a break, I'm going to tell you how you can do that. This is Laura Meeks, Transformation Talk Radio.
Is traditional medicine not working for you? Do you still feel as if your health isn't 100%? Here at the Holistic Medical Center, Dr. Nushin Darvish and the qualified staff look through the dimensions of wellness and start a healing plan prioritized to your needs. Our physicians assess the whole you until complete health is achieved. Get the help you need by visiting drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Are you willing to challenge everything you've been taught about life and death? Join Angie Corbett-Kuiper on her hit show Beyond Grief Radio, redefining loss and grief as Angie shares through choice, present moment awareness, and keeping an open mind that creating anything is possible, even in death. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information or to listen to past shows, visit AngieCorbettKuiper.com.
Are you ready to create a life you'll really love? Then you'll want to tune in to the hit show Life Design Radio, From Adversity to Awesome with Susan DiLorenzo. Live each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. No matter where you are in your adversity story, Life Design Radio has got you covered. Get ready to feel inspired, enlightened, and motivated. For more information about working with Susan, visit SusanDiLorenzo.com.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Have you heard the story of the snake and the rope? One evening, a young woman was walking down a country road. It was growing dark. Suddenly, she froze. Up ahead was a coiled snake. She was terrified. She reached into her bag for a flashlight and directed the beam of light towards the snake. Now she was flooded with relief. It was just a piece of old rope. That snake stands for all our imaginary fears and insecurities that sap our confidence. The beam of light is conscious confidence. Ask yourself, how many snakes did I see today? How many actions or words did I stifle through fear? Hi, I'm Sarah Main, creator of Conscious Confidence. Join me and my co-host, Dr. Pat, for Conscious Confidence Radio on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Learn more about how you can live a life filled with conscious confidence. Go to my website, ConsciousConfidence.com.
Okay. Welcome back. This is Laura Meeks. I'm Laura Meeks on the Laura Meeks Show, Transformation Talk Radio. We are transforming lives one life at a time. We're following the story. This happens to be my story, and it's an unusual and interesting story. And I'm focusing on the idea that your attitude creates your altitude. So I crafted up this idea of the box canyon. And if we want to get out of the box canyon, we need to get a good attitude going so that we can get altitude so that we can go over this. Now, realize here I am in a situation where I was in the military and I knew I couldn't tell anybody that I was transgender, and I faced losing everything that I had even acquired up to that point. And one of the things that I learned is that how you approach challenges, what your attitude is key. That's what's going to help you go through that door in life. Now, one of the things, again, that I found that I felt I needed more information about what this was. So I researched, and I read a lot of stories on the internet, and I even went into support groups, and I found real people facing this challenge so that I could get some idea of what people had done before. But remember, all this information that you're gathering on your problem is historical information. So I had gathered up a lot of interesting information, and here's what I learned. Most men in my situation realized that or had the attitude that this idea of transgender is a curse. That was their attitude. This is a curse. I've been cursed. God smited me for doing something. Not realize, it seems kind of weird to say. This is in the early 1990s, and so thankfully attitudes have changed since then. But these guys, as I was talking and researching this, these guys felt like they really had to justify why they were feeling this way. And their justification was to say that they were just somehow just normal men who had done something wrong. They couldn't figure out what they did wrong, but they were then cursed to be transgender. And so they hid it and they ignored it. And guess what? I can't tell you how many people I met that were severely depressed and physically sick. In fact, some even committed suicide. So it's hard for me to understand, but some people feel it's better to die than to live as one of the outcast people. Now, here's what I realized. I realized that if I started talking like they were talking, that curse would be my curse. And I have to tell you, I enjoy living life, and I didn't want to be cursed. So here's an important lesson from this whole story. I changed my language about what transgender was. So if they were asked what is transgender, they would say it's a curse. I came up with this. I said this was my gender blessing. If people asked me why I was different, I would say I was gender blessed. I was blessed with a multiple gender. Now, I have to tell you that one verbal choice, that one shift in thinking and talking made a huge difference of what happened when I went through that door and into the future. You see, what happened was I ended up creating a good future. What happens is if you tell people you're cursed, what happens is that energy is captured. It is contagious. And as soon as you start telling all the horror stories that you've heard, they start researching and telling horror stories that they heard. So when they tell you that people lost their jobs, then guess what? All of a sudden, you're faced with that situation and you're going to lose your job. If you start telling stories about how these poor guys lost their wife because their wife just couldn't handle the story, all of a sudden your wife is going to think, hey, yeah, I feel that way. I should leave too. So what I want you to understand is you are creating your own future. When you go through that door, you're creating that. So what I learned, and I have to tell you, this is before I really got involved in coaching, but somehow I knew that if I changed my stories, that I would change my future. And so I started researching and finding stories of couples that stayed together. I started finding couples that were living together and families that were happy together. And I started telling those stories. I started finding funny things that happened. And guess what? As the more funny stories I told, the more funny things that happened to me. So here's the crux of my lesson today is that you can, if you change your words, they change your thoughts. And if you change your thoughts, they change your beliefs. And if you change your beliefs, they change your attitude. That's how you go up and over the box canyon, is you have to change your attitude. But it goes back to the words that you start using, because everything that you say becomes something that you attract. So if you want to attract something good, you need to say something good. So I want you to reflect on when things go badly in your life. How are you talking about that? Are you saying that you're cursed? Did a vengeful God smite thee? Are you saying things like, I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I did a dumb thing again, I screwed up, I made a bad choice, somebody else made me do it, it was their fault? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying that, oh, that was just a bump in the road? That was a learning experience. I learned something from that. Or I learned how to do it differently next time. Someone asked Thomas Edison this, and I thought it was good. They asked him this. They said, how does it feel, Mr. Edison, to have failed 1,000 times before you invented the light bulb? Do you hear the subtle inference in that? Is like, hey, Mr. Edison, how does it feel to fail? Well, interesting. His answer was, I never failed. He said, I did 1,000 experiments over time, and I learned 1,000 things that didn't work. And in the end, I found the one thing that did work, and he invented the light bulb. And it was a huge success. How you approach it is important. What's your attitude? Here's another example of how I changed my attitude in this scenario. Remember, one of the things I said was common practice, common knowledge was if husbands told their wives that they were transgender, it was almost every story I'd heard is the wife left. And so here I am, newly married, and I'm wondering, should I tell Annie about this? Now, I did know, again, this is pre-coaching, but it turns out a life experience. I realized that I wasn't a statistic, and I realized that there was something that was happening over there, but I didn't want it to happen to me. So I made a conscious choice, and I told her right away. I knew my wife. Now, here's what I knew. I knew my wife was different, and I watched her face some challenges. We talked about it. I love my wife, and I felt confident in her abilities. We'd already been through a lot together. So even though we'd only been married a short time, we'd been through a lot. And so right away, I confessed my discovery to her. Now, it turns out that this was fortuitous because I trusted her. And this trusting attitude, this attitude of trust was important to both of us because realize the information that you gather is important. It turns out this is kind of the behind the scenes story of why wives were leaving. It turns out that men in the 1990s that had realized that they were transgender had learned that this was not something that they could share. In fact, it was so scary that they would hide it from absolutely everybody. No wife, no golfing buddy, no nothing. That this could ruin you everything. It was legal to fire you from your job for being transgender. It was illegal. It was legal to kick you out. So they would let no one in on the secret. So here's kind of what the normal path was. You'd hide it. You'd hide this idea for 30 years. Typically, they would have a locked box in the attic or in the basement that had transgender information in it, maybe clothes and stuff. And they would hide this stress for 30 years. But you know what's funny is your body can't handle that for 30 years. And so typically what was happening, and this was important, is typically what was happening is these guys are holding the secret out like a brick for 30 years. And then finally they just can't hold it anymore. They would drop the brick and they'd show up in the kitchen in a dress and say, honey, I'm a woman and this is how I'm going to live the rest of my life. You're just going to have to get used to it. Now, I got to tell you, imagine the shock of that. The challenge is they've been thinking about it every day, every minute for 30 years. Their wife had no idea. And what was interesting about the attitude of trust is that usually in these scenarios, it's not the fact that you're transgender that makes or breaks the marriage. It's the fact that you lied for 30 years. And it's weird because part of the challenge of being a guy is you're taught to protect your family. So they think what they're doing is saving their family from heartache and embarrassment. And in the end, it all falls apart because they didn't have the attitude of trust. So that's so very important. And as I said, this attitude of trust is what kept us together because we decided that we were going to create a solution together. So instead of taking this information and realizing, okay, we're going to do what I want to do, or I'm going to do what you want to do, we're going to do what they want to do, we decided we together are going to solve this by creating a solution that we wanted. And we tried and succeeded, by the way, in doing something that was rarely ever done. and that was a husband and wife staying together after a transition. Now, it worked because our attitude is that we were going to do this together. So when things go wrong in your life, when something goes wrong, do you think that you failed? Or is this another part of the experiment? Now, one of the things I want you to do, I'm going to give you a quick tool. There's an affirmation, and I'll post this on my website when we post this. Here's the affirmation. Repeat it after me. If you're listening, repeat this after me. Nothing I do is a failure. I am experimenting with life, and this is one more piece of data that didn't help me towards my goal. My next attempt will succeed. Like I say, I will post that on the site. In my final segment, I'm going to share some humor with you, some of the funny things that happened, and talk about what you can do from here on out. This is Laura Meeks on Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you ready to embrace your essence and the magic of who you are? Let me, Emily Perkins, hold your hand and walk with you as we go treasure hunting for the gold that lies within you. Tune in to Love Living Radio every second and fourth Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information, visit lovelivingHolistics.com.
To find answers to life's questions, you need to look within yourself. Dr. Glenna Rice brings your questionable conversations on Transformation Talk Radio each month. Tune in each month for insight into how you can live up to your full potential. Dr. Glenna is a physical therapist, certified Access Consciousness, and Access Body Class facilitator. How does it get any better than this? For more information on Dr. Glenna Rice and her work, visit glennarice.com.
How often do you find yourself wondering, why me? Learn a new shift in perspective to see how everything that takes place in your life is actually working for you and shifting you towards your own enlightenment. Tune in to Blank Enlightenment Radio with Misty Thompson each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more, visit MistyMThompson.com. That's MistyMThompson.com.
A space of allowing radio with Coach Nancy Coco, welcoming all that wants to be present today. Tune in Thursdays every first and third week at 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com as Coach Nancy helps you find a space of allowing. Join Coach Nancy to explore what lives at your edges and to bring more of yourself home. For more information, visit NancyCocoCoaching.com.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Hey, welcome back. This is Laura. We got a final segment. I wanted to share with you sometimes funny things happen. So all of life is not all about overcoming all the walls and everything. Even in a gender transition scenario, funny things happen. So I'll tell you one quick thing. In the midst of my transitioning, I would go out in public. I got very comfortable in the idea that I could go out in public. And so my daughter turns out to be one of my champion supporters, and she and I loved going out shopping. So she and I would be out shopping. One day we were in the grocery store, and we were looking for peanut butter. I'm at one end of the aisle, and she walks all the way down to the other end of the aisle. And lo and behold, she finds the peanut butter. So she holds it up, and she yells down the aisle, hey, Dad, is this the peanut butter you're looking for? And I look at her like, stop. We don't want to say Dad in public. You're going to let everybody know our secret. The funny thing is that we looked around, when she said that, she thought, oh my God, I'm sorry. We looked around and no one was paying attention. And as time has gone on, we realized that, hey, in reality, people are so absorbed in what they're doing, they don't. So she still calls me Dad. It sometimes confuses people. But it's interesting. Funny things do happen. So life is filled with joy. Now, one of the things I want to end this with is that one of the things that I know is changing attitudes is not intuitively easy. And one of the things that I've found is I've really benefited in life from coaches and mentors being in my life. And I've learned very quickly how to monitor my own words and thoughts. But even today, when I'm in mastermind sessions or I'm with other people that share this kind of thinking, they are quick to say, ooh, did you really mean that was a curse? It's like, ooh, did I say that? Yeah, no, I didn't. So one of the things I want to offer you is the idea that you can have a coach and a mentor. Fly High Living, the company that I created, is all about helping you. And I offer both individual coaching and coaching programs in an effort that you can build your dream together. And it's helpful. Now, it's not that you can't, and when you think about this, instead of going to college, you could have just gone to the library and read books. Not quite as efficient, not quite as fast, and perhaps not getting all the collaborative information. So one of the things that I find is, yeah, you can read a lot of this in books and hear it on the radio, but it would be great if after this show you went out and changed your attitude, and it can. We'll let you know it can happen that way. But traditionally, it takes a little bit more time, and that's why I'm here. Now, my goal is to help 10 or 15 people who really, really, really want to make a big change in their life in 2019 get involved in my months-long programs. That would be my ultimate goal. So I look for people that are decisive and ready to work and change their life. And I understand this. I have the tools and the techniques. I have the how. You don't need to know how you're going to change your life. What's most important, listening to these stories and pondering what's happening in your life is you want to come up with a vision. And I have actually, my first module is called Flight Plan for Life. And all it is us writing down your vision. Because I will tell you, this is a wonderful holiday season. It is a wonderful time to be alive. There's so much to see and do. And so if you're not in a situation where you have great relationships and great health and great creative expression in your life, then you just need to call me. 888-666-1570, or you can go to my website, flyhighliving.com. So once again, 888-666-1570, Laura Meeks, flyhighliving.com. Find yourself somebody that you feel like you can talk to. If you have any desire to change your life, just call. It's just a phone call. I'm not going to harass you and get you all signed up and stuff. I want to find out what you're doing and what you want to do. And if I can help you, I will. That's my goal. That's it for today's show. This is Laura Meeks. I'm on Transformational Talk Radio, and I look forward. Remember, dream on, fly high, live adventurously. Fly out of that box, Canyon. This is Laura Meeks. Have a great holiday season.
You've been listening to The Laura Meeks Show. Dream on, fly high, live adventurously on Transformation Talk Radio. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us next month as Laura helps you find your unique gifts so you can bring them to the world. For more information on Laura Meeks or to listen to past shows, visit her website at flyhighliving.com. Check out her hit Dream On 12-week course, where you get the personal attention you need to fly high in your new life.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.